Yep. Well, we'll see you soon.
If I shove it in the bottom, maybe pizza junction.
Such a yahoo.
Oh.
We had a whole lot of finesse and, you know, using all your skills.
Do you have a light on you?
He's like, whoa, I think I'm going to get another 4Runner. Because he sees, you know, the possible. I had him in my hand and I was like, oh no, there's a pair in here. All my damn binoculars are in the truck, I think.
It's got a long neck.
Yeah, llama.
Just make Arthur zoom in on his camera.
Now there's two of them.
Zoom in and tell us what it is, Arthur.
I don't know. I was pretty damn sure I had a good pair in here. I would have been upset. But I do have another pair of bush noses.
It's a llama.
It is a llama.
I can't. With my eyes. I can't.
Your eyes? No?
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. Today might be the day.
Uh-oh.
Here's, I gotta glue the little cover back on, little cosmetics. Hey, it's stuck for now.
God, I just remember. I've been following. Just looking at hills like.
The height of 31-inch tires underneath all four, so, you know, 2.5, 3 feet, whatever of height in the air. And Sabrina's like this on the passenger side.
My back is touching.
All you can see is Sabrina's head tilted over and her right shoulder against the roof. And it's like, is she? Ha 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 ha.
Because that was the one time I was something like, oh, he always says no seatbelts, except I wasn't thinking, oh gee, we're gonna jump this time.
But I had no seatbelt. She just simply
was so light.
Was too
I
young.
did not break this. It's already.
Oh yeah, you can't rip. Those are not for holding on to. I mean, they're feel better bars, but I have to try to do something with them because everybody wants to hold on to them as no shit bars. You might roll your window down more. You're gonna potentially smack it if you're gonna stabilize yourself. See how much smoother it's riding with the sway bar off? It really is.
It's just giving you a lot more travel.
Yeah, it'll let the front end really articulate. And see, the thing is, I don't think I've ever run this trail with 4 people, and I've got a pretty good load of, of my stuff in the back, but it's definitely changes things when you get a full load.
Yeah, I can tell right now.
It's like riding a motorcycle with somebody on the back.
I think for right now, Mike, I'll just borrow my lighter back. Because the lighters that I got will be in the bottom of that center console that I just chucked full of stuff because last time I had to find something, I was shoveling it out. Remember, you always want to get way over here. You're straddling a big rock. Normally you want to be real high to the fence. You should back up 3 feet, and climb that rock. Up. Now, come on. There you go. Sit. Hook the fence. Hey, Eric! Back up a little bit. Back it up. Eric, you need to know where your car is. You've got to straddle the fence, not run through the rock in the fence. Turn to the left. Turn real hard to the right. Come on. Ah, Jesus. Big rock right there. Turn. Go. He ain't going to listen to you, right? Got it. Go. Hey!
Oh, she just tried to drive the right. It's the drop, Jeff.
Remember, Eric? Remember that spinning tire's no
He
good?
just dropped his drive.
Okay, so when you start hopping,
Jeff.
okay,
He just dropped his drive on.
okay, yeah, you spit the fucking rear drive shaft. So don't move, okay. See, when you follow that valley all the way out where the trees close up, where you see the houses all out there, that's Irwin Lake.
Okay.
Irwin Lake, where I used to live.
Irwin Dry Lake.
Well, one of the only natural lakes, along with Baldwin Lake. These two lakes here are the only natural ones. That and, which one is it? Bluff Lake? Right up above our house. There's the only true natural lake. Did you get it?
Yeah.
The only true natural lake that actually holds water all year round is right across the highway from your house and mine, Mike. And it's Bluff Lake, and it's right up on the top, and it has water in it all year round. That's the only true mountainous area.
It's private. That little tiny lake up there.
Well, yeah, sort of private. I mean, it's not private. It's not private, but it is. They've never allowed anybody to boat on it. And on the opposite side, there is the camp. But the camp does not own it. They just caretake it, you know, and keep the dirt bags from trashing it. But they don't own it because you have to walk right by it to go to the lodgepole pine and all of it. So if you're nice, they'll be nice.
Yeah, they let us on and just walk around it. Take it off.
This is why they have slip yoke eliminators that I'm going to put on mine, so that when this happens, then you can pull the drive shaft and the transfer case doesn't bleed dry. Because right now, you know, he could drive back down this hill without a problem.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Get home, right? Yeah, that's home.
And the transfer case is going to bleed, you know, a pretty fair amount, but not enough that it's going to burn it up. So, you have to pull that out.
Do they come out?
Let me see, Eric.
Are they coming out?
Let me see, Eric. Why don't you get out? I will pull the yoke.
We're taking this drive shaft with us.
Throw that hands in the back seat. And then we'll have to pull the tires out front.
What?
I said, and we'll have to pull the tires out. I mean, the rocks out from his tires.
Here, I'm going to kick your legs loose.
That's good.
One more.
I can't get it out.
can go. And I could have crawled it because we had so much weight
Yeah.
and the bigger tires. And with the 31s, there's a little bit of bump and run going, and stacking rocks is not the answer. It's just absolutely pointless.
I'm trying to remember, wasn't Jacob able to go up
No.
part of that?
No,
I
because
remember last time he did something other than our
yeah, he crawled,
he did that
he crawled
middle,
the middle or something.
Yeah.
But he had 35.
Alrighty.
What do you think? I think I'll try that middle line that I kicked down. I've already done the other one. So now we'll do the middle one right here. No, I don't need seatbelts on. Testing the slider bar. Testing the slider bar or what?
No, you're on the shoe just rock.
What? Yeah, I said tested the slider bar, right? It landed on the big piece of metal on the side of the car. That big black thing on the side is called a slider bar. So it probably slammed against that, right?
Probably. Go over a little bit this way.
Uh-huh.
Go over a few bit.
Still on the rock.
See, I just tried to slow and steady and massage it a little this way, a little that way. It's amazing, especially when we get up to this next spot. The slightest change of angle. Okay, in other words, when we go to, for instance, I'm not gonna go John Bull, not with Dum Dum tonight. I just don't have the patience.
Yeah.
But when I first went into it with my 31s and my other Cherokee, and I got in there, and it was just like, just stuck, spinning. And I'm like, screw this, because once you go in, you're committed. And I was like, nah, I got no business being here. Well, I literally backed up to back out and saw how they had stacked rocks. I go, oh, yeah, if I swing really hard to the left, come in, and just changing your angle, just literally 2 inches the way you come at it, and drove right through. And now I'm like, oh, great. Now I'm screwed because I'm committed to run the trail. Was he gonna let me go?
I guess so.
Now this is the other garden that I really wanted Mike to see. Oh, he must have been in low or high or something? Or maybe he changed it to high. I think he changed it to high. You run out of poop. We ain't got enough without being re-geared. No, he's not bad actually. With 31s, he's actually probably better that he went. He's in 2-wheel drive. What the fuck is
Yeah.
dumb shit? You went into 2-wheel drive. You don't even fucking pay attention to what he's doing. And see, that one, even though it's older, that has a limited slip diff. Nope, it doesn't. His doesn't. Not even trying.
Got a big old rock right underneath.
Yeah, and he's pinned to it. Look at that.
Yeah,
He just
I
rolled
know.
over it. He's so stupid. He doesn't pay attention to anything that's under him.
Nope.
Guess he got it in 4-wheel drive finally. He's just like... See, and that line over there probably ain't gonna work for him. He's gonna get up in the middle of it and get maxed out. He has to go. You come in and drag that freaking tree damn near and just swing it just as hard as you can right to that little stump and then come around hard. We really ought to be closer so you can see him destroy it.
I'm furious.
I mean, he just slammed the diff or something right into it. But see, what you need to do is you go straight past that tree, just tucked as tight as you can, and then you pivot around that big ass rock, and then all you got to deal with is bumping over that rock, but you take the front end right up the embankment, and you come in, you go straight at it, and then bam. And if you have to back up and do one little renegotiate, you're fine. But that was always the way. With the 4Runner, there's no way in hell Danny would go any other way. You got to go that line. And that line's getting ugly, as you can see.
Yeah.
But should we pass him? Passing Lynn? Hand me my Gatorade or the Powerade. The white one, I think, is one I had that was open. Isn't there one down there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not. I don't even. Actually, maybe I didn't.
So it looks like the blue one's the
That's
open one.
Mike's. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. What was that?
Him throwing something because he just saw the huge fucking dent in the side of it from him rolling over a rock like an idiot without a slider bar, or he broke something again. Unbelievable.
Yeah, isn't his exhaust or
Oh, he
someone
tore his
else's?
muffler off.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
That's what that was.
That's what it looked like to me. Unless you pointed that up still.
Well, yeah, when you rolled that huge rock, don't open that or it'll never close again until you're level. What do you need, Eric? Turn it down. Eric, what do you need? Oh, you broke another one? See, we're done, Eric. There's nothing else you can do. We're out of parts. The bolts are broken. There's no more yokes to be had. You're a fucking idiot. Problem, you couldn't even tell you're right not in four-wheel drive. Wow. Okay? Shut it off, or whatever you gotta do.
Did you guys run? What did you guys run? You guys
Yes, that's the one. Couldn't remember the name of it.
If you didn't bust the ears off that yoke, I'd be shocked.
Alright, so you guys heading back down, or where are you guys?
He's heading down. I'm going through.
You've got a trail to fit out of here.
Get out of the way.
Oh man.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.
That's how you do it.
Like candy.
So this is where you hop in cars and carry on, I think. Unless you're done with your adventure.
Never.
I think we're one short, yeah.
everything I wish I had one of. And I'm going to become you because you kind of fucking drive. You go place you don't want. My son took his with 35, opened him, and ran the 3 fucking hardest trails of king of the hammer. It didn't break. Because you know what the fuck your car is? You know what your front wheel actually is? I pulled an Eric and actually thunk, you know, my diff, see right there? Thunk,
Oh yeah.
because I lost, you know, where I was at. I went up the hard line just because I was pissed. I see. See, as my tire dropped off over here,
Yeah.
that's where I hit. So it was a sort of an acceptable mistake, except for, you know, I lost perspective of how, you know, high it is and how low it is on each side. But at least I didn't run right into a big rock sitting upright. Right there. That many other people have done it. I hit my front diff right there. In other words, I was coming up this, just just rolling it easy, pulling the hard line on purpose because I was just pissed, and all of a sudden, tunk. So I backed it up a foot, turned it to the left, and drove up.
Is my phone's plugged in and good.
Yeah. I just plugged mine in because I snagged.
Give me some royalties off that shit.
Some what?
Nothing.
Royalties off of what?
Personal injury, fighting for them day in and day out.
Pisses me off that Jacob sold his shit off.
Me too.
Well, you know, I could care less. He's going to play that game, but you know what? If he had told me he was playing that game and putting it up for sale, I would have demanded that he swap front ends because that was my high opinion. And you know what? I'm going to break his little heart and piss him off because when he gets back from his fun, he's gonna give me the other $300, and he's either gonna and he's gonna give me, you know, probably $300-400 for the differential, because, or he better go immediately down the hill and pick up one of his Craigslist finds.
Yeah.
Okay, but he better replace. He's gonna replace my high opinion because I'm out of fucking parts. Between him and Eric, I don't no longer have spares. Well, pissed me off. It's like I used to have lots of spares, you know, for that bad potentially day, but not anymore. Between the kid and the fucking old kid.
How do you think these roads got built, Jeff?
How do you think the guy hurt?
This road right here.
Yeah.
Oh, it was by miners with a dozer. This was, you know, cut with a dozer. Some old school little T8 or whatever the hell they were, the old military little tiny ones. My grandfather has one. It's probably still sitting out at his mine out in Desert Center. That won't hold you. Don't grab that and rip right out. Those things are a silhouette of happiness.
I'm like, the moment you grab, the moment you grab that thing,
get your feet actually kind of planted, and it'll stabilize you. I know. I'm defeating your whole goal of being Gungy Boy.
I'm like, the moment you grab it again, I'm booting you to the back and taking the front. That's all I'm saying.
I'm well bound.
This is how they did it with the Desert Race truck that they were practicing on this. Actually, it was back.
Did you catch the little girl in the front seat, in the little car seat of the other Jeep?
Oh yeah.
Yep. All smiling and waving at me.
Well, I was trying to tell the story of how I wanted to teach you and Sarah to drive, because I wanted nothing more than my 14 or 15-year-old daughters. So not only is it a kid, but it's a girl, and outdrive you with crappy equipment, being in a 4Runner that doesn't
drive you with crappy equipment.
Yeah, exactly. In other words, to do it with inferior product, okay, and be a girl and be young. I just wanted to watch faces. I wanted to sit on a rock and watch my girls drive past them in something that's not as capable as
Put her
other
in here.
I'm working on it.
Let's see you drive.
I'm working on it with my mountain bike. I'm working on it with the mountain bike.
Put it this way. No, today's not the day because she'd be nervous. But we are going to go out early sometime when she comes, and she will drive. I think I made her drive once the last time we went out, but only a little bit. Didn't I?
No, the last time we didn't.
Was I trying to get you to drive the last time?
You were trying to.
Okay, that's what I remember. I tried. See, it's like even the girl that was driving the back.
For me, it's like I would just I don't know, like if it's like you and I, or like you and I and like one other, then I'm down, or like you and I and Jacob or something. But I don't know. I overthink it, and if there's a big group, I don't want to be with it. I don't know. I'm working on picking my lines though. I've been playing with my mountain bike. See?
Good thing I'm working on building my life.
I got my mountain bike. That's where I'm getting these trails in now.
Really?
I gotta find my lines too. And there's not a nice metal casing around doing that, so it's a little.
The most important thing to do.
From Golden Backside.
That's a nice view. I think the most important thing
Can we take it?
behind. Take a what? Take a break?
Yeah.
Let's go a little farther.
Yeah.
We got a little farther. But see, I think the most important thing behind driving this that Eric and most people don't do is you need to drive like you're riding a motorcycle. That means you're supposed to drive looking out as far as your eye can see, and you're picking your line and looking at the terrain and taking it all in before you get there. You've already made a choice of where you're going to go.
This looks slick to me.
It is. And normally I would take the high side or over there, but we'll take the more difficult side because I can. But see, we got a pretty good drop over here, sort of. Big rock in front of us, yeah. And it just twists
When
up.
I look at your tires, it makes them look like a...
Oh yeah, these are little. These are babies. These are barely adequate.
Okay.
If Eric had 33s, he's still screwed.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
it doesn't matter.
But I used to do all these
He's
trails
done it in a Jeep like
with
this, no
exactly
problem.
the 4-inch lift that he's got. Okay, the rough country lift and 31s. And I used to run these trails, not only run them, but I was the recovery for when they got
That's the name of this. Exactly. Off-road recovery.
Yeah, we'll take the really hard time out.
I've
Never done that one. See, with open diffs, which most of these people have lockers, and the Jeep with the sway bar connected, I would have gotten stuck right there. It would have maxed out the articulation and started spinning. But then you disconnect it, and it goes from this much to We'll get up to one of these spots, and I'll like stuff a tire if I can. I'll try to find a double off camber so we can totally twist it. But you'll all want to be out of it probably, because what happens when you do that is it's about a 4-foot drop out of my door to get out of the damn thing. No, I was talking about twisting the articulation with differentials twist. When it flexes, when I stuff the front tire all the way up into the fender and the other one is dangling, the leaf spring, the coil spring will actually become loose and be floating because it's sagging so far. The only thing that's limiting it is the shocks themselves.
I think I'm more entertained watching you guys flop around than I am.
And our good friend Bob, it's the top of this rock, because that's a marker, that's a hyper marker. Hey Bob. At the very top.
Let's go see him real
Yeah,
quick.
I believe up there on top there's one of the metal markers for the because it's PCH and all that, you know.
It's good. It's good.
Okay, what's leaking? know, did I blow a brake line? What? No, I blew them shocks coming up here because I fucking was going 30 miles an hour up that road. Wow! They're crap. They gotta go.
Yeah.
I knew I was gonna make them bleed. The first time I mobbed, I'd make them bleed. Well, this one's not bleeding yet, but yeah, you see, they're not that warm, but feel it. Feel the housing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have.
If it was the Pro Comps would not even be warm.
Yeah.
When I went out, they were damn near twice that warm. They were a lot warmer than that just from running a bumpy road.
Mhm.
And I grabbed those because I had seen all that discoloration of the shaft. I knew they were screwed. And then I walked over and it was like, oh, they're warm, right? Walk over my Pro Comps, it was like not even that warm. That's from back in the day when they mapped out our states and all of, you know. Do you see it? There's not a. We'll keep going.
This is one of those moments.
Anyone?
My mind's a blank. I'm a little frustrated with Dum Dum.
This is.
ABS?
I don't know.
It's more quartz based.
Right?
Everything around here is more quartz. You see how it's almost transparent in some of the areas? It's getting the opaque look. Everything's volcano. Everything that pops up out of the ground is volcanic. A lot cheaper, and it uses the front drive shaft as the rear drive shaft. So now you can carry one drive shaft as a spare.
And it works on either one.
Well, and actually, when I pull up to this rock, I'll let you get out before I twist it up, and you both you guys, if you want, and you can see how far this thing twists up. Go ahead and hop out, guys, because I'm going to max out the articulation at least a little bit. I'm out of the way.
The rest I got here.
Thanks.
Well, when I'm on the street, that's a different thing. When I'm here.
I believe this is one. This is like the classic.
Just from Polite, he's gonna get these from Siri.
You've never been through this with me when it's snow, huh? This is a little bizarre when it's major snow. Because it's kind of like the Disneyland ride, you know, the car rides in Disneyland in the early days that had that center thing and you can't get out of the rut. You're just stuck in it and it just kind of bounces you back and forth in between the iced out ruts.
Wow.
See, in front of us there, that's the rock garden.
Ah. So is that from a mine or is that there
Natural.
before? It's natural.
That's one of the many places that all the native rock for all the native rock walls, like in front of my house, come from.
So they come. Oh.
Kind of nature's mine. I'm not sure that'll ever go 4x1 with Eric again. Unless there's somebody else that wants to babysit him, because I'm just done. Because now I'm kind of pissed because I'm going to have to go down to Pick Park and buy all this stuff because it ain't ever going to happen with him. So I'm already ass out. Now I'm ass out double. I've already done this once.
Do you have a place up here or what?
He used to. He's living in San Diego with his girlfriend.
How come you keep giving and giving to them?
Well, today this was out of necessity. Last time they pulled it and drove it home just like you did this time.
Turned around.
Or no, I think he might have got it towed home last time. Pretty cool, right up around the corner here. Jacob and all the guys, Jacob and all the guys went out, you know, early in the spring. Okay, when you go out early in the spring, Jess, listen. When you go out early in the spring on any of these trails, you better bring a freaking chainsaw because there's very likely you're going to be the first one on the trail, and you're going to need to clear trees out of the trail. And at the last second, I actually remembered for once and told Jacob, hey, take my little saw because this early in the year, you're probably going to come across some trees down, right? So they grabbed him, and he's driving my 4Runner, you know, that, you know, it was his 4Runner, but it had the winch. And it's my baby that I've been doing recovery with for years. And sure enough, they come up around the corner, and I just go past it. Almost like I missed it. Bullshit and missed a turn on. I think I did, you went. Nah.
See any turn on?
Oh yeah, right here. So they're coming up through here. You see it's really narrow. And you see to your left right here, a great big tree. You see how big that is?
Yeah.
That was across it.
Which one?
Right here. This one. That tree, well, I think 3 years ago, 3 years ago, they came up the trail and it's fully blocked because that big ass tree was across it.
What kind of tree is that?
That's pine. And so Jacob and his friends with my chainsaw cut the fucking gap out that we're all using today. And use my winch to winch it out, and the chunk is back there or whatever.
Yeah,
Oh, that one.
Right here.
Oh, I see.
This.
Yeah.
The boys cut this and used the winch to winch the big ass piece out of the way. You know?
And here we are enjoying
And-
today.
And it was so close to, see what it is I'm surprised it's not marked. This is the easy way. There used to actually be a sign. This is this is Black Diamond. This is the rock garden. And it's actually much easier than it used to be. And the trail has changed, but here we go.
Wow, it took us this long to get up to here.
Yes.
Wow.
So-
this is what I was talking about when I was asking about that. The
I'm gonna go this.
area
Are we
before
gonna
the-
stop for a second?
Probably not.
Alright.
Nah, there's no partakers at the moment, so I'm gonna go straight through because I've been running that way. But
Leaning over and drop on the Zebo.
Why
You
don't
don't
you
need a
just
seatbelt.
brace yourself and like
See,
take a deep breath? And
Now keep in mind, when we had the desert race truck that All J built, okay, they were running laps
Wow.
down below where we were before we got to the tree. There's another entrance that comes in down there that's really gnarly, but they were doing like 50-mile-an-hour laps around through this rock garden, just freaking launching to test it. And actually, what was it? From here, they made the loop through the rock garden.
Take your whiz real quick.
Okay, they made the loop through the rock garden and went down to the highway and back in 8 minutes.
Oh my God.
Holy cow.
It took me 7 minutes to come up at the 35, 30 to 25 to 35 miles an hour that I was doing, but almost coming to a stop in some of the places where it was it's gnarly. So if I was going 30 miles an hour to get up to where we were not even, and that's going through the rock garden and the waterfall, and they were able to go down and back in 8 minutes.
It took us 7 minutes from that last where we took the
Yeah.
picture.
Well, I went from the highway to where he was broke the first time in 7 minutes. And I was hauling ass, or doing pretty respectable for soft sidewall tires and
I always forget when I'm up here, until we're up here, that I should hit up Joe and Corey, because they're part of all the Jeep clubs and have a super souped up Jeep, and in all the years that I don't know them that well anymore, but I know any moment that they've got a chance to get up. I love it.
Oh my gosh, so much better.
just kind of push the button in farther before you pull on the door. These are kind of like manly things, and the button goes forever.
Yeah.
Rock garden.
That one is a little bit stiffer because it did get damaged when this has been rolled.
Has
If
it?
you didn't know.
Yeah.
It's been on his driver's side and roof. You don't think the LED bar works, do you? Let's see. There's headlights. Oh, look, there's high beam headlights. There's LED bar.
It's great for my video.
We're just going across no man's land. Yeah.
Rock garden.
And this is actually really compacted down.
Yeah,
It used to be
a lot
just
more
like
rugged.
really, all big ass ones. And if
Yeah.
you fell off your line, you were screwed. And I drove my Cherokee before I had lifted it through here with some bald ass 31s on it, and no protection, no lift. And I watched all these guys with this badass Jeeps like the two we just saw going through here, and they all had lockers and this and that, everything.
What's a locker?
Locker is where the differential actually, because technically
Brace yourself.
Technically, this four-wheel drive is only two-wheel
Your
drive.
seatbelt's not doing
Technically, I only have
anything
one
otherwise
wheel
you
in the
need to,
front,
like,
one wheel in the back, because they're
spin
open
and
differentials.
stance,
It means that if
move
one wheel
forward
gets in the
action.
air, it'll spin,
balance.
and you got no more drive from that axle.
Yeah.
So when they put a locker in it, it's either a full-time locker or it's a limited slip. A Detroit locker where it'll lock up as soon as one tire makes a revolution or half a revolution, the other tire will grab and they'll both drive. And that's a huge, even the stock worn out limited slip that was in my first '89 Laredo like his, I'm actually surprised that his doesn't have a limited slip, or it's so burned up because he hasn't serviced it. Because Laredos like his, normally mine that was the whole gig behind them. They had a limited slip in them.
That's awesome.
And a little bit nicer. But I drove through this after watching these guys, and these guys were getting hung up. They had diff guards and lockers and you name it, and 35-inch tires were the smallest ones. And they were getting stuck. They were out here getting hung up. And I looked at it, and I walked it, and I watched them, and the more I watched them, the more I go, I can do this. If I don't fall off my line, if I slip off, I'm screwed, because I would have just been like dangling, like feet dangling. But I said, as long as I don't fall off my mark, I'm good. And I drove through it like it didn't exist. But see, it's all about momentum. When you got little tiny tires like Eric's got, it's about visualizing and picking the line and understanding where all your tires are going to land, and running right across the top of the rocks you know, where there's a crevice on each side you're going to fall into. And if you hold your line and you keep the momentum going as you're falling into the holes, you can drive right through like it's nothing. And I did so. And I got to the end, and one of the ladies or wives go, "Wow, you made that look easy." And I went, "Thank you. But if I'd fallen off my line, I would have been screwed." But I did. I mean, all these guys were all fighting it and, you know, pulling an Eric, and I just drove right through. Like I just drove through like I'm in right now. Just through that whole thing with huge rocks, and it was just like But I was sweating it the whole time. I'm just like really up on my game, going, okay. Hold that.
I'm trying to remember, with as bad as it was before, I don't remember if we were able to get the 4Runner through that part or not. I remember I don't think so, right?
I never took the 4Runner
because I remember
through
we
it
kind of came up
because
to that point
because it used to be a lot gnarlier.
Yeah, it was a whole lot worse.
And back then when I came up to it, I only had 31s.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
only Jake and I only got my 33 950s, the real tiny skinny ones. And I don't think I ever came up here with them.
I didn't.
I never had a tall enough tire for the limited articulation truck to feel confident. Like Danny's the way it's set up right now, I'd run Danny's in a heartbeat just for the fun of it because it's extra challenging.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we came through this when it was still like spring and it was still. See, I don't know if you guys heard that spring popping.
You were still gonna
just now?
Yeah, everybody was talking, but
well, because he's running into me back here.
Well,
hold himself
but
yeah.
when it articulated, you'll hear like the snap, crackle, popping sound, and that's actually when it flexes so hard, it actually drops so far that it actually releases the leaf spring the coil spring in the front actually comes out of its socket. Probably had this much gap, and you're hearing it just get air, and then crackle back into place. But we came through this, and there was still pretty heavy snow drifts, and so then you got the extra added challenge of everything being slippery, and this is pretty nasty. And Charlie's stepdad was driving his full-size Blazer, with a pretty good lift on it, and he's like, "Oh, I can do it," and I'm like, "Dude, you probably shouldn't, because you got that old school lift where the springs are really stiff, and so it just doesn't articulate. It's tall, but it's a mall crawler." And so he's coming through here, and because it's a big Chevy, it's doing okay. But you see how narrow this trail is. Well, we're gonna get up to an area up here where it was a real problem for him because it was snow and everything, and it was a real hassle. But see, right there, it was just maxing out the articulation in the front end. So I was hearing springs go crackle, crackle, pop. That's why we got to do this again today, where you guys, can be standing up there and actually watching the suspension work.
Yeah.
Unless you got a monster fucking big screen at home, it's really hard to really appreciate the suspension working unless you got a really good sized TV, Let's see how sharp. This turn doesn't seem like much until there's a freaking mega snow. And you can't see the bottom door here. Yeah, so this turn right here, I think, was between that Zig and the Zag there with his big ass truck, because they don't turn that sharp.
Yeah.
These Cherokees, I mean, even right there on this road, in a spot like this, I could turn it around in a 5-point turn and be going back the other way. But nothing else would do that, Everything else is just too. This was actually kind of screwed getting through with the ice and the snow. I think I even had a little bit of problem because it's so tore up. Here we go. We'll just play. Okay, Jess.
Come on.
Open up your door and tell me how close my slider is to that rock. The bottom of the Jeep. The side of the Jeep. You probably have to look up. Okay, well, at least right where I'm at is the apex, and I've got, I don't know, 8 inches or something.
Go ahead.
You can close the door.
I don't know what's it.
No, but you're coming up by it. And see, that's another thing I need to do is get the rock lights underneath. Jacob had those too, and I don't know what he did or if he left them or not, but they had found green LEDs, okay, for LED strips and shit like everybody's putting on the car. Found freaking Kawasaki green. It looked like a damn alien, and his Jeep was, his Jeep was green, but underneath it would just glow green, and it was badass. I mean, right the first time he tested it, he was in the field across from the house, and he had just fired them up, and they're all scoping him out, and a cop coming down the street, and he stops and he looks and he's like, "That's badass." The
cop said that?
Oh yeah, these cops are pretty cool because they're normal people, and he was just like, "Wow, those are illegal." I love those,
Why are they illegal?
Well, because, in other words, they're not illegal as long as you're off the highway, but if you've got illumination underneath your car, it's a distraction to other drivers because they're like, "Oh, hey, look at this cool car," wham!
Right.
All little import guys, light them up like a spaceship, and the green, I got to go online and see if you can even find them. Maybe they, because it was the color, it just looked cool. You got blue, you got red, but the green, that really was badass. So this is the exit to Gold Mountain, because there's the easy road right there.
Big motherfucker.
Is that the one we were looking at before?
Yeah,
that goes up to the
this would have been this is the road that would go around, the rock guard that we just went through. And I guess either somebody stole the sign, or it got broken down and they just decided not to put it back up. Maybe because it's flattened out so much that it's really not black diamond as much.
Yeah, it's not as insane as it was before at all.
Okay, this is where Eric has torn his shit up. See this big ass rock in front of us?
Yeah.
I have a strap in here still. I have a 40-foot long strap right in front of us, just that big rock right there. Okay?
Yeah.
I have a 40-foot long strap, cheapo strap that I got, but it's 40 foot, right? Mm-hmm. I had wrapped that strap around that rock to use it as a pull point for my winch, because right there, right in the middle, right in front of us, was a fucking full-size lifted Suburban that had broken his steering column, and he left it right in the middle. And we come all the way up here, and I'm like, I'm not driving back down. We're running through the trail. So we're like, there's no way to get around him. So I put my, snatch strap, or my snatch block and my strap around that tree, right there. Brought the cable over, drug the front end of the Suburban over first, and then hooked it. Drug the rear end over, rolled my shit up, and we drove by on the inside. And when he came back, and he was wondering, how the hell did my Suburban end up pinned right up against that bank? Let's see, this right here, so they filled it in. With all the Jeepers, they filled this in. See all the little rocks filled in?
Yeah.
Okay, they've made this easy, because this is hell. And this hole over here on the right has gotten really nasty. You used to have to cheat and use the hole on the right, or the line on the right, but the tree, you can see, is all tore up. Huh? Yeah, but when we get up closer, you'll see the tree is just tore all the fuck up, because people try that line, and then they get hung up and they try to reposition and they slide back. That's the tree that had a little stick sticking out of it that pegged the freaking back.
You're talking about
it back. And I think damn near every other corner of his Jeep has been knocked off by that little tiny pin.
I apologize.
But I may have to back up and take a breath and look at it before I try to go, but I think that since they filled it all in, we're just gonna go. But in the past, especially with the 4Runner, I always would have to hit this and just go really hard to the left on the embankment and have momentum. In other words, I'd have to hit this at 8 miles an hour and feel confident that the line I pick is gonna work, and use the momentum to bounce through, because the 4Runner just won't flex up like this well. See, that's where the momentum comes in, see? Back up, go like this.
But not the Eric kind of momentum.
See? Just a little bit. Just want to keep it rolling. And you got to keep in your mind where the hell everything was and when you needed to turn, because,
and where you're going to land. At what
you know.
point,
Thank you so
Wow.
much for taking me out. Yeah.
You're welcome. That corner
That was
right
awesome.
there, that corner right there is where the chick with her badass Wrangler with lockers and I mean all the cool stuff, and you know 4 other people in their group, and then another group came upon them. They were right there, right in the middle, with a busted axle on a badass locked up, far superior to mine.
Sounds familiar.
Right, and
Something
Thompson,
driveshaft, right?
Steve Thompson is up here sitting with him, and he calls me because, well, you know, I'm the only one capable of doing repairs. He fancies that he can do recovery. He tried to take my job from me. They sat. No. The Steve Thompson. He's got a Jeep that looks just like mine. Only he's got 20 grand wrapped up in it. I probably got 4 grand wrapped up in this because I built my own shit. He bought. Well,
5 to 1.
they weren't smart enough. I mean, it's a locker. That means that even if one wheel is broken off, the other wheel is still turning the vehicle. So her Jeep was still 3 wheels. I'm still only 2 wheels. She could have drove it just dragging that one side with no wheel on it or nothing.
Can I get up for
And
a
it would
minute?
drive. And I finally got them. It was right on top of the monster rock, and we put the wheel back on, and I tried to tell them, hey, we need to put the drum back on. They're like, no, it's all good. And I'm like, then don't touch the brake, because if you touch the brake, it's going to spit all the freaking brake parts out. So they did. We had to pick them up, but I tried to work on it there, and she was parked right on top of the biggest rock right there. And then they're high lift jacking it. Anyway, we drug its ass. I actually put a chain through the wheel and chained the freaking wheel and the broken axle to the differential and just let it drag it, you know, not turning, and drove it up and parked it. We parked it, drove it up, parked it right here, and I had my welder and a generator, and we tore it down, and I welded one of the brackets for the track bar back on that is snapped off, which is what keeps the rear end from, or front or rear from going side to side. And I went down and got one of my, you know, still good, you know, damaged a little bit, but not a broken axle, and put that in for them. And they had the fucking nerve, because there was a guy there that really wanted in this girl's pants. So and he had a shop of his own. He's auto repair shop and everything. So he's the man. Well, by God, if you're the fucking man, why am I up here fixing it? But as soon as I start breaking out tools, he starts picking my stuff up. He's going to do it. And it's like, buddy, if you were all that, you should have had some fucking tools and just done this.
Yeah.
So they're all camped out here while we're doing it. We
Is
get
this
it
the
done.
top of Gold Mountain?
Pretty much.
What would you call this spot right here?
The picnic spot, top of Gold Mountain.
Oh, gold. Take it. I'll take it. That works.
You see, it's, you know, open enough. You can park a hell of a lot of Jeeps in and out of the trees.
That's where everyone kind of stops and.
Yep. That's it. You've made it to the top. And now we're going down.
Do we loop back to the same road, or is it a different road down?
This is gonna come out on the main road that comes in at the dump, which is, you know, past where we came in. You go in where the dump is, you go in a little ways, and then this trail, you know, is one of the
this
trails.
goes
Out of
up.
curiosity, why don't we ever run it the other direction? Is it just not as good the other direction?
Well, we do, but typically just because this is much more challenging.
Yeah, that's why I was curious.
But no,
yeah.
I went the other way, especially when I'm doing a recovery. I'll come in from the other side, so I'm not working as hard.
All I knew is like I realized like every time we come, we always come this way, and I was just curious.
I don't know. In the wintertime, we'll run it this way because this is the shady side.
Yeah, so it's.
And it's just Disneyland back here.
Now, what's that? What the ones that we've done that kind of go back down into the desert? It's a real narrow one, and we kind of did it right after a good rain or after snow at some point.
Well, you mean the one that comes out just below Cactus Flats?
Yeah.
Well, that's the first road you can go down. First road you can go down when you come in from the dump.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what they call it, but yeah, that's the first.
That's a good one.
It's a very, very cool
that's
one.
a good one. I
That
really like
we
that.
could have done that. That would have been a good loop for us to do today because it's an easy enough one, but it is challenging enough, and it's cool because it's another one of the only natural, stream, kind of scenarios out of Big Bear that you get to go through. If it's got water.
Yeah.
And that's the first trail I ever took, my 4Runner. And keep in mind, we're going downhill, but you're going slow like this, right? So and I'm going downhill, and we stop at the first spot because I have to, because the damn Toyota's freaking redlining. I'm not even under a load. And that's when I figured out these dumbass, because my 4Runner was on its third motor at 177,000. Okay, well, these dumbasses just kept throwing motors in it. They weren't actually solving why it was burning up the motor. Well, red line on me one time like that, and I went, fucking needs a radiator. Jesus, people.
Yeah, because I remember doing that one with Grandpa once, too.
Yep. No.
Because that's why I was giving him a hard time, because he had switched to the blue truck instead of the awesome old...
This is what I used to have for lights.
Uh-huh.
My other driving lights. Ta-da, they don't seem like much. Actually, I think my alternator quit.
Say what?
Yeah, I'm looking at my voltage on it because I'm going, wait a minute, the lights are way too dim. It's coming up now.
Hang on. I'm sorry. I'm just...
Huh. Either that or that stupid ass piece of crap Ultima. What are you looking for?
I know I was playing my...
Either that or that stupid ass Ultima battery is finally taking a shit. Because I think they are a little dim. Oh well.
Yeah, that seems...
I gave you a new one.
New what?
Battery.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but it's not up to par.
It's
This is one of those $250, gel battery. You can mount it upside down if you want it.
skillful batteries.
It's got a lot of extra power, so when
Do
I
those
winch
LEDs really wipe it out fast, or?
No, the LED actually draws very little
Less?
voltage. They're very efficient. But I actually, the lights are probably working just fine. Literally, there's probably some mud on them. If I went out there with a rag and wiped the dirt off of them, it wouldn't be so bad. But after you've been running the LED, the lights seem like they're broken because they're so yellow after the pure bright light.
Right.
Thanks for taking me in.
You're welcome. I'm just glad we barely pulled it off. Because I needed it as much as you did.
Oh, look at
I haven't been out for so long.
Yeah.
Look at that red.
Even though this is like blah, 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 been here, done that. The trail still changes because they come through with 35 to 39 inch tires. They don't know how to drive. They drive like Eric. They slam into rocks and then spin their freaking monster ass tires with lockers. And this road never used to be this bad. It's because these guys with money and huge tires freaking rip it up and just make huge fucking holes. Because like I said, I used to run and do recoveries on all
How
of
big are
these
the tires on this?
33s. And I used to do it all with 31s. And I was happy that I was up to 31s, because that was an inch and a half taller than the stock ones. That was a huge increase. And then there were BFGs that had the rock, badass sidewalls, that don't puncture. It takes a lot to. We can puncture anything. Stupid people can flip a freaking go-kart, I think I need to adjust one of the spots. It's like, used to think that those driving lights were pretty, you know, they worked pretty well. Yeah, they're kind of a little out of shape. And you know, you let your eyeballs adjust to these lights, and it's like, yeah, they work good. But yeah, that's a big increase over the high beams, you know, right there.
Yeah.
And you know, may as well fix them. They are a little goofed out, aren't they?
You're goofed out.
Actually, this is where me talking about wiping them off, how much of a difference the lack of see how much brighter they got?
Yeah.
Just getting the dirt off. You guys kill him.
You want any extra?
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Cool right now how there's all these little wet spots you just see off the side everywhere from, you know, showing how much rain we actually got the other day, that but there's still wet spots, you know, randomly everywhere.
It even helps build the road a little bit.
Nah.
Kind of dampens itself.
This road is a freaking river.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, when this is all icy and, you know, and snowy, it's kind of sketchy because you can't slow down. Because you can't slow down. No, you're stuck in the rut, man. You're gonna go where the road takes you.
Brakes and all.
And all you can do is somewhat control the speed, but
somewhat.
At some certain stretches, you know, you might approach it at 12 miles an hour. By the time you hit the end of it, you're at 20. You're going, oh God, you know. Because it is just like a freaking skating rink.
Reminds me of my old cross-country ski trails.
Yeah, it's a shame we couldn't have seen this in the daytime because, you know, as you can tell, that this is you know, a little less deserty than you know the Big Bear normally is. This is, you know, a pretty green. You know, you got fern, you got a little bit of, you know, algae on trees, you name it. It's pretty cool. It's just not as dry and hot because it's on the shady side. And as you can see, that, you know, there's a lot more growth, you know, than They got quite a variety, and it's real pretty. Of course, I guess with the LED, you know, it really helps, because if we didn't have the LED, you wouldn't enjoy it. But look,
Really wouldn't be able to see much of
you can't really
what's
enjoy
around
much
us.
of anything. But actually, you turn on that, and it's like, well, it ain't too bad.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome.
I remember that one right there. I almost slammed into that log on the side coming down because it was so icy. It was like, oh
yeah?
crap! I'm gonna use this thing as a bank, you know. And then I was like, well, okay, but this one doesn't have a log around it, you know. Hope I made that one. Now this stretch right here, I damn near couldn't get through this spot right here to get to where we're at right now. In this, when these tires are really good for winter. And Jacob drove right through it in the 4Runner. And that's the difference between the 4Runner, it had an 18-inch longer wheelbase. So as he's hitting the bumps, your wheels are getting traction differently. So everybody goes, oh, shorter is better. There's times with those little tiny Jeeps, they can't get through it for shit. And I drive through it in the 4Runner or this because it's longer. So there's a benefit, there's a good and bad to every wheelbase. Yeah. But I remember doing this and I couldn't fucking believe it because Jacob drove right up it and we were all like stopping and staging right there and waiting for each other, you know, and then we'd go. And so I go to do my turn and I get to right here and it's like, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Maybe everybody else just glazed it up so I get a little faster, farther run. Man, I mean, I had to go for all it was worth and I just barely by a foot, you know, finally crested over the bad part.
Does he have a cell phone?
He doesn't have a cell phone. He left it down there.
Just gonna call him and see what.
Yeah, well, you can't call him. He ain't got a cell phone. I mean, I could call Mo. You could call Mo and see if she's seen him.
I have zero service right now. I don't know if yours.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We're on the back side. We're in the dead zone. You probably ain't gonna get any. Well, I guess the bottom line is, if I don't find him at home, then I'll have to go back out and backtrack. But there's no reason he shouldn't be able to drive that home. You know how many, you know, that probably 7 out of 10 Cherokees that I see for the first time, the damn transfer case is almost empty. And people have been driving them on the freeway hauling ass for years. You know? So it's not good for it, but they hold up pretty well. So, you know, run across this town. And I don't think it'll completely gut it, it's just that probably drains half of the fluid out. And you know what? I only have one spare transfer case now because I sold one to Charlie because Charlie broke his, and then I sold the other one to Thompson because we modified it into that Wrangler. So I only have the one transfer case, older transfer case, on the transmission that goes with the motor. Oh, pretty flower. Get it?
Yeah.
Oh, that is a pretty flower.
Oh,
Oh, you didn't see it?
I couldn't see it over the hood.
Oh, I would. That's why I would have backed up.
I got it.
I got to admit that with the LED bar, it makes this road a completely different entertainment.
Yeah, it's almost like daylight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really highlight the landscape.
For sure.
I thought we were just gonna have to turn around after.
After Dum Dum,
Yeah.
he had me so pissed I'd fucking drive off and leave him and the Jeep broken. I'd come back later, but
Just turn around at the spot by the hole.
what?
I was voting for the turn around on that spot.
Why?
Because it broke. Got fixed.
I should have made him fucking turn around and limp it home the first time. But I'm like, nah,
That's what I'm saying.
I want everybody to have a good time. So I go get my parts, and I come back, and it wasn't even an
Mike
hour.
didn't want to come back up.
It wasn't even an hour, we had him up and running,
Yeah.
and he makes it around the freaking corner.
Oh, that's so impressive. That was amazingly impressive, by the way.
Mike didn't want to come back up?
Nah, like I say, he, and I pretty much knew it when he said, he'd ride with me. I knew it wasn't just that he didn't want to sit out there. I knew that, yeah.
He wasn't up to it.
I said, well, I'll tell you what, Mike, you better be ready to go tomorrow because today pissed me off and I want to take you a full length of a trail. So I hope you're filling up to it tomorrow. I don't think I have any donor shocks that I can throw on, but I will definitely be looking. Because it's actually, not riding as good as it should. But that's okay. It rides pretty damn good.
Yes, it did.
See, like all this is a river. This is a freaking river. And when it's an ice cube underneath the river, how the hell are you gonna stop? It's like you're coming down this going, oh god, come on. Shit, she's gaining speed. I've done everything I can to slow it down. Oh yeah, and then you get to here.
So when you let go of the brakes and shove your car into the snowbank.
Well, but see, there is no real snowbank here, but
Yeah, because it's not like anything's plowed.
see this stretch right here
Yeah.
is where I came into it and it's like, okay, going like, maybe 12 miles an hour. See, and the cool thing is that, you think, oh, you come up to this at, 8 to 12 miles an hour, no big deal. But when it's snowy, see, this is fairly smooth because all the holes are filled in.
But is
then
it filled in with solid or is it filled
it's
in
filled
with
in
powder?
with snow. Filled in with snow and iced up.
Yeah.
So you're like, this is more comfortable.
It's a nice little
And then you
cruise
get to
run.
this stretch where it turns into an ice chute.
Yep.
And you're like, uh-oh. And yeah, I come into it, maybe even this speed. And it
Like
was
a
like
suicide
it
luge.
it just starts freaking going faster and faster, and you've downshifted, and you're just barely feathering the brakes, and you're like, oh shit, because you see right in front of us, that's a right turn. That's the end of the road. I come down this, sliding, doing everything I can, hanging on for dear life, and looking at that and going, we're fucked. We're gonna roll because I come up to this at 20 miles an hour and it gains speed. Time I got here at 20 miles an hour, and I managed to make this, to bank it, and make it around it. And I was like, I got around here and onto the road, and just like stopped, and I was like, holy fuck! See, you go that way, it's the Holcomb Valley behind us. This is Mr. Dan Ali, who is riding with us as we speak. On the back, he would come out here, park his truck over there, drop his lines, and spend a half a day or the whole day repelling that. See how tall that is?
I bet.
Nice vertical face.
I bet he and my aunt have back. She used to
Yep.
come out and do all that.
You want to get out and take a look?
Yeah.
Is he relation or a friend? Just somebody you knew here?
One of the first people I met 40 years ago when I moved to Big Bear.
Really?
Yeah. He was the first. He was the first person I ever did a sleepover at his house.
Really?
Yeah. And he had two stepsisters that he hated with a passion. Well, but didn't hit them both. But his oldest stepsister was the evil stepsister, and she's still the evil stepsister. But we still love her.
I know his sister is like my aunt's best friend.
Well, and then the younger stepsister is extremely cool. I had the hots for her. She's nicely built, You know, cute, cool personality, brown eye, blue eye.
Really?
Yeah. What the fuck? Very, very unique for a person. Very rare.
Isn't that like a sign they do magic or something?
And see, if we could see, right there is desert. The V,
Wow.
you see the silhouette, you'd be looking right down at the desert.
So which direction are we looking
You
there?
can even see some porch lights. That's Lucerne.
Oh, okay.
That we're looking right down at, you know, the desert. You know, fairly close to your story house back though. I mean, all you gotta do is come back and we start the day earlier. Guess my dad's house could be one of those lights. He's that close. Here's where we drift. Now you're looking at Golden Lake. First view of, and now we're at Double Mine. There's the,
This is the spot right here.
there's Double Mine. That used to stand upright. Now you'll all want to get out to look. Okay, but this used to be upright when we were kids. And the crazy motherfucker, they would walk out and we would walk them fucking beams. And there used to be a probably damn near 20 years ago that it started collapsing. But it used to stand upright. So when you get halfway up this, you walk right up the middle, see, and it's all the rocks piled.
Yeah.
So you can see how it's sucked in. So it's just the big ass rocks like this all the way up in there. And you get up past that bush you can see in the middle.
What were they
And gold. And that's the exit of the you know, where you have to crawl up out of the rocks in this little hole. In other words, if you're a fat man, you're not going to get to go through the mine.
So you can still go down inside
Yeah,
it?
and there's still a short section, and in the springtime or after a big ass rain like this, you're going to be walking through some water.
Wow. How deep is it? Any idea?
What, the mine or the water?
The hole.
Oh, the mine. You're not that far. I mean, you can see how you had a mountain and a mountain.
Yeah.
Well, their dig is, you know, below this cave-in area, so, you know. And see, here's another thing. See how there's a big ditch dug right here?
Yeah.
Fucking, they just did that because we all used to fucking pull up this hillside and you see how far up you could fucking climb up this super steep. So they dug this big fucking hole so that we can't have fun. It's like, what was it harming for us to pull up to this and fucking go up the hillside and spin the tires a little bit and back off and go? Oh God, we gotta dig a fucking ditch, so fucking assholes. See, this is a roundy-round road, a road that goes to the back side of it. And you can, so when you park, you can go to the back, but there's not a whole lot of parking up there. And then you're right there at the entrance from the top. But then you'd have to walk back up to your car, so. But we've done it both ways. Last time I was out here, I actually parked up there. You need to get out and see how far this tire's off. It's a good twist right now. Now, is that coil spring actually relaxed out of its socket and loose on the top?
No.
So now you know it actually flexes even more than that. that's how the billy goat keeps traction. Keep in mind, my kid, right before he got here, he had 4 inches more lift than I got, and 37s. You know that big ass tire you walk by the back door? He had those on this.
Oh.
Well, 35s is really pushing the strength, you know, the abilities of these lightweight axles. Well, as you can see, Eric can't keep a fucking drive shaft in it. So can you imagine if he had big ass tires on his, how easy he'd break things? He's breaking it with tires that are barely bigger than stock. And here's the road that Sabrina was talking about, you know, that goes down to Cactus Flats, that if it wasn't so late, we'd do it. And here's the back entrance to the mine because my God, we were killing something. Why did they need to block it off? And then see, they throw the straps and shit to make it look like there's never been a road there. Fucking assholes. I'll hook my winch to that and drag that damn rock out of there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it doesn't seem like it would take that much to.
But yeah, you go down.
Rockin' stick.
You go down that road and it's a pretty good. That's horse thieves. No, I don't think it's. No, I don't think it's marked.
Yeah, probably not. No, it just says Highway 18, 3 and 61.
Yeah,
It goes to
it comes out right below Cactus Flats. You know, right at that.
Now, isn't that the same one that we went down to peek at when the road washed out?
Oh yeah.
That's the same.
Oh yeah.
that's the one
When
that
they had the road blocked because the whole thing washed
Because
out.
of all the floods.
We
'Cause we
snuck
were
down
curious.
this
We were like,
and
we
popped
gotta
out in
see
the
it.
middle of the freaking road where, you know, it's blocked at the top and at the bottom, but there was no block here saying, I didn't know, we just popped out and wondered why the road was so quiet for us. See, and then even this, you know, they try to make it so, oh my God. It's like, really, jackasses?
really jackasses.
So are we still on the desert side, or
No, this is Big Bear. That's all
That's
Baldwin
Big-
Lake. All lights
That's-
you're looking at.
that's what I was
Baldwin
wondering.
Lake. That's basically the same. We're just a little farther down the road than where we went in.
This is gonna pop us out right at the top.
Yeah, comes out right at the dump.
Okay.
They're so much fun. Best bang for your buck in this little bucket. Nothing else, you know, flies that nice. Now the 4Runner was pretty nice for hauling ass. And I got to do it all with blowing out shocks for 15 years, and you'd never know. And then I never got to drive it with real shocks. I told Danny the other day, I said, Danny, I have to drive your truck because it's got shocks and it's my baby only, you know, so I got to mob it once with real shocks. He's actually got some pretty nice ones in the front. But I mean, when I launched my Jeep and got the pictures and shit, you know, and I still launch them, but when I got the good pictures, and Sabrina, you know, did the headliner test, it came down and it had about as much vibration or aggressiveness. Yeah, there's part of the dump. As when you're playing your video game and it has that little vibration in the controller. That's about as extreme as it was, from coming up from that high in there and coming down. And there was 3 real heavy rollers. Whoops. And I'm on the brakes. As soon as we landed, I was on the brakes hard because we were parked right to the right, you know, just from here to the corner. So, you know, 50 miles an hour, I go, with it on the brakes, suspension's just squashed, and just make a quick, real fast right U-turn and park it. It's like, that was so soft, I want to do it again. But when you do it, then you have to start reinforcing things because it's unibody, and if you're gonna run it like a race truck, you got to start building it like a race truck. She will run.
Here's our seatbelt mark.
Yeah, this would be the mark if we had lock-in hubs, or if I gave a shit tonight. This is where we'd put the sway bars back on.
Do you need them?
No, you can put your seat.